and we'll watch him doing some spodding action as well.
Here we are on probably one of the best, well in my view, the best day ticket waters in the country. The prolific Oxfordshire linear waters, now sponsored by Richworth. At the moment I'm on St John's, a few of the other lads are on some of the other lakes. I've had a 22 and a 13 on the first morning. Carp tended to move away from me, headed towards the lads on the other bank, but because it's nice and quiet, it gives us a bit of time to shoot a little bit of video footage up this end of the lake. What can you say about this particular venue? Well, it just goes from strength to strength. I remember when Len first got them, and those, you know, sort of singles and doubles, and what, 10 years later you've now got 40 pounders in here, and some of the mirrors are so good looking that it appeals to people like myself. I can't understand why anyone would not want to come here, really. Approach for day ticket waters, well, if you've never been to a day ticket water before, the only things you've got to bear in mind is you do get quite a few noddies, and we all started off as noddies. Eventually everyone learns, you know, we all get along. It's a good system here. The swims are well spread out, so you know, even though there's sort of like, I've got a couple of float anglers up the bank from me, they're not interfering with me at all, so I'm left to get on with you know, what bit of water I've got in front of me. Feature wise, St John's is some lovely gravel features. I'm going on past experience, I found that you're better off to be on one of these gravel features, especially in the summer. Winter, I think probably more inclined to fish on at the bottom of the features, or even in the silt. For this session I've just used pop-ups on every rod, a couple of inches off the bottom. I think in truth I probably should have had a zig rig out on at least one rod for most of the time. Zig rigs tend to catch a lot of fish in Oxford, especially over on Hardwick and St John's. I started off the session, I'll maybe put, I don't know, a dozen spods over each rod and 50 boilies, and I'll just taking it from there. You can't really gauge on how many fish are on you until you actually start getting indications. And obviously, you know, it don't take me long to work it out that my first 24 hours was the best 24 hours. So thankfully, I've caught a few. You'll see these on the video. Unfortunately, I had them just before Len turned up with the camera, but there you go. Yeah, if you do come down to these waters, you'll see all sorts of methods used. I'd say the most popular is spodding. It's something I've done for a number of years, and others have as well. It really is a good way of catching carp. And you can get a concentrated amount of food in a small area with your hook baits inside. It always comes up trumps. Little tips for spodding, I suppose. Don't fill your spod up too much. A lot of people fill their spod right to the end, and if you leave it an inch short, it casts 10 times better. You know, if you fill it right the way up, it will shoot off in different angles, and you'll get a load of spods spilling out, and that's not what you want to do. You want all your food out into where your marker float is, and you don't want it sort of spilling out. Another reason for using pellets is it sends a nice little oil slick up, and when you're spodding out, you get a nice big flat spot. So you know, even if you've got a wind on the lake, give it half a dozen spods, and you'll tend to find that the slick will concentrate around your float, making your float that more visible and that more easy to see in windy conditions. I've used halibut pellets, the marine halibut pellets, and carp love them everywhere, I think. When you come to a day ticket water, I think, you know, you've got to come in with a good bait and a good rig, and sort of be confident in what you're doing. But what a lot of people I've seen do on here is come down and use it, and their terminal tackle is not up to scratch. Now, if you make your own leads, fine, you're going to save yourself a few quid, but if you come in here on a gravel pit and the water's clear, don't expect to catch a lot, because you really have to camouflage your rigs well. Lots of companies make leads these days, and they're all using sort of like nice colours, lead coating colours. Richworth have asked me to sort of help develop their lead range, and one of the leads that a big favourite of mine now, Richworth are bringing out, is a sort of standard pear-shaped lead. Only the difference is that instead of using a swivel, you're just going to use a large ring. Obviously this ring's adequate enough if you use casting out 4-ounce leads, it's never going to break. And the beauty of this is because it makes the lead that much closer towards the lead clip, there's less movement. So when the carp do move off with your hook bait, it's near enough got the full force of the lead straight away. As far as tangles go, I've had no problems. I've been using them for the last few months, and I'll get along. I mean, these are my #1 lead now. Again, the colours are going to be changed. We're sourcing some good colours out, so if you keep an eye out in the shops, you'll be seeing these, and I'm sure if you use them, you're going to like them. There's plenty of other leads in the Richworth range. This is a shape everyone's probably familiar with, the zip shape, great for extreme range work, and Richworth make them with a large eye swivel, which is again very, very useful if you want to use a running rig. Come in both brown and green, and not in 1/2 ounce divisions. Another one of the Richworth leads are the standard pear leads with swivels, only they've been flattened. And the beauty of these is if you're fishing on a slope, is they won't slide down the slope like other leads would. And again, these are a big favourite of mine, and I use them quite a lot, especially for close range work and maybe up to about 50 yards. I make a bit of a splash when they hit the water, but at the end of the day it's the effectiveness of the lead that you're after. Other leads in the Richworth range are the inline leads, and these are one of my favourites, because the bane about using inline leads is obviously you've either got to tie your tackle up when you get there, or you've got to leave the lead on the rod, which is not a good idea because they'll bash into your rods and they could damage your rod, which is not what you want to do. And the beauty of these leads is because of the slot, this enables you to sort of pull the lead off, and sort of like you can walk around without a lead on your rod and just sort of switch leads, which is handy because if you want to change the size of lead as well, you can do that without any problems. Simple rubber insert. One thing you got to watch with these is you might get a few little burrs on the inside of the lead, so just when you first purchase them, just give them a little look, and if there are some burrs, just give it a little rub with a knife or a little pair of scissors, but it should pull out to a little bit easy. And there you have it, simple rubber insert. Another one of the Richworth inline leads are these ones. Again, they come in various shapes and patterns, and one thing you'll notice about them is the texture. They feel slightly rough. They're not too rough as to cause any tangles, but what this allows is any sort of silt deposits that are sort of like coming around in the water will wash into the little gaps, and it'll blend in very, very nicely. And again, simple system, you just pull your lead inside and it'll semi-fix it. What you've got to make sure is you don't use too large a swivel, obviously, so use something like a size 9 or size 7 swivel. Obviously different manufacturers of swivels are different sizes, so you have a little play around and find the one which suits you. Another one of the inline leads Richworth do is this little fella. Now I call it the pebble lead. This Richworth lead is another one in the inline range. Again, I think it does help to have different shaped leads around, because if everyone used the same shaped lead, the carp could soon distinguish which was danger and which wasn't danger. And this little fella looks like a pebble. Sits very nicely on silt as well, whereas some of the other leads tend to bury themselves in silt. So for silty waters, especially sort of close to medium range work, this will be my first choice.